Now we're stuck with this decision of to leave the Yasumizu or stay, but I don't know if this will affect anything, but of course we will stay. Being left out of the place hardly guaranteed my safety. Obviously, escape was the ideal choice, but at this point I didn't see anyone guiding me out. All I had to look forward to was either dropping dead somewhere in the mountain or becoming a snack in this village. The first seems way more attractive, but unfortunately I'd gotten attached to the people here. Abandoning them would at least make it hard for me to sleep at night. That's why running away wasn't an option for me.
もう聞いちゃうけど、休みずのご飯食べさせてくれないのは何の伏線なの？
気づいた？
うん。もう怪しい伏線はとっとと潰しておこうと思って。怖いから。
参ったな、もう。まあこれはただの保険というか心の薬というか。
少し詳しく。
なんかあるじゃん。そこのご飯を食べちゃったから豚にされて逃げられないみたいなさ。
ここは地獄か何か？
It's still an anime on DVD, by the way. Which way to the bathhouse?
地獄でないとは断言できないかな。
Seems like some serious overthinking to me, if not just serious superstition.
ちなみにその体勢はまだ続くの？
一応食料はそれなりに持ち込んであるからまだ大丈夫。
Cup ramen, huh? I did appreciate it, but I had mixed feelings on living like it was the apocalypse over a local superstition. Anyway, we went to Chiemi's room and she gave me some cup ramen. We agreed I'd pay for it. After all, this was over. I actually skipped 2 meals, so I was still hungry, but I was used to skipping meals to cut cost, so that wasn't a problem. I wanted to relax and think things over, but Chiemi was curious about the others, and I ended up tagging along. It was probably because I wasn't in a position to be myself.
あら、いらっしゃい。お昼？
いいえ、時間を持て余してしまって座ってていいです？
もちろん。お茶をお出しするわ。
すみません。僕はお湯いただけますか？
あら、お茶は体にいいのに。
お茶を飲むと眠れなくなる体質なんですよね。
あら、それは仕方ないわね。では、
おさゆも断ってほしかったな。
そうは言うけども、カップ麺作るときにここの水は使ってるわけじゃん。
あ、
気づいてなかったのか。
沸かしたからセーフかな。
Could hell's water really be purified by boiling?
はい、どうぞ。でも本当に災難だったわね。バイクもあんなに壊されて、しかもこんな。
いえ、皆さんに比べればそんな。ちなみにこんなこと毎年のようにあるんですか？
Ask something important like it was no big deal.
そんなにはなかったはずよ。私は少なくとも宴は今回が初めて。昔霧が出た時に亡くなった人がいるっていうのは聞いてるけど、多くの人が休みずにいなかったから。
Since they hadn't ostracized back then, I could ask that, but I probably couldn't dig too deep.
じゃあ多くの人にとってこれが初めてのことってわけですか？
そうだと思うわ。
そうか。それにしては随分とやり方が正確に伝わってるんですね。
ここはこんなところでしょ。娯楽も何もないから、小さい子たちはお年寄りのお話を聞いて育つの。古いお話や古い歌はずっと伝わって残ってるみたいよ。
歌？
歌？
Oh, she's there. Whoa, the mysterious Mako Chan popped out of nowhere.
歌覚えた。
あら、すごい。歌って歌って。
新内さんのお守りは赤だし増やして手がらしとくよ。
Cake Funky Blowing Rider? So Was it about a guest at a funky birthday party with cake and ended up night on a happy note? The melody seems familiar though.
ちょっと難しかったかな。
メイコ、ここにいたの？
Her guardian came soon after.
あら、まあ、すみません。お昼の後で、いろいろ見苦しいところを。
Kaguya Vibi-san humbled herself.
いえ、こちらこそ。メイコがお邪魔をしまして。
いえいえ、こんな時ですから、少しでも気が楽になるように、好きなようにくつろいでください。
では。
A silent thud and a loud one. The woman just collapsed.
大丈夫リカ子さん。
あらまあ、怪我はない？
Apparently, she wasn't trying some unique form of relaxation. She just tripped on the rail for the door. She put her hands on her throbbed nose and became teary-eyed. The lady's mysterious vibe crumbled in an instant. The woman noticed my surprise and pouted. She might have been more expressive than I'd realize.
あまり見ないでください。
あ、すみません。考えてみたらちゃんとお話しするの初めてですよね。
そうかもしれません。申し訳。
どうして謝りますか？
巻き込んでしまって。逃げて。
そういえば逃げろって言ってくれましたね。
夕霧が上がってくるのが見えていたから。
ああ、そういうことだったんですか。僕はてっきり予言でもされたのかと。
植松は見張りの家ではありませんから。
No, that sounded significant.
見張りの家とは？
あまり外の方には。
What? Perhaps Shami's lack of reserve made me forget my boundaries here.
すみません。変わった服を着てらしたので、何か神職の方なのかなと。
それはまあそんなに偉いものではありませんが。
春明さん、リカ子さんあんまり困らせちゃダメだよ。
ああ、うん。そのつもりはなかったんだ。申し訳ないです、リカ子さん。
いきなり下の名前で。
ああ、すみません。
Shami called her that way, so I thought it was okay. Man, this was confusing.
別にいいですけど。
いやー、すみません。
何？なんかいい雰囲気？
I'd have appreciated it if she didn't put me in a weird situation.
帰ります。メイコは。
もうちょっといる。
そう。夕方前には戻ってね。
So she left.
ちょっぴり不思議ちゃん入ってるけど、可愛い人だよね。
そうだね。
可愛い人だよね。
そうかな。
どっち？
こっちのセリフですが。
美人はいいな。いくつになっても年齢不詳の美人のまま。
Ah, that was some bait.
あえて食いつくけど、彼女っていくつなの？
よくわかんない。まあ30過ぎってことはないと思うけど、間違いなく私よりはお姉さんだよ。
十分意外なんだけど。
だよね。ちっちゃいし童顔だし。
ちなみに彼女って。
こんにちは。
We were now joined by the students.
母さん、今いい？
あら、安永。春ちゃんもいらっしゃい。
ちょっとあなた。
はい、あなたのあなたです。
ふざけてるの？
I was actually.
なんだろう、牧島さん。
今はるちゃんって呼びそうになったでしょ。ほとんど初対面なのに非常識じゃない？
落ち着くんだ。ヒステリー系ヒロインは人気が出ないぞ。
つくづくふざけてる。 あなたにね言いたいことがあって来たの。
Her behavior was pretty unreasonable too, to be honest, but instead of pointing it out, I just corrected my posture and waited to hear what she had to say.
あなたね知恵姉にくっつきすぎ。知恵姉だって忙しいんだから、あなたはあなたで何かしたらどうなの。
そうだったのか。
いや別にそうでも。
よしんば知恵姉が暇だったとしても女性にはいろいろあるんだから、遠慮して適度に距離を取るのが大人でしょ。
それは確かにそうかもしんない。
認めるんだったらとっととどっか行きなさいよ。これだから大人ってずるくて汚くて鬱陶しいんだ。
Wait for it! When you grow older.
そうです。私が汚いおじさんです。
はるちゃん、そんなこと言うためについてきたの？あ、母さん、匠兄から伝言で、
何かしら？
しばらくは夜早いだろうから、お弁当にした方がいいんじゃないかって。
あら、それはそうだわ。急いでお米炊かなきゃ。
あと、久石さん、あなたにこれを。ぼんよよよよ。僕？
I was busy deflecting Haruchan's attack, but my stupidity barriers of being dragged into the conversation surprised me a bit. He gave me a rather dirty, rusty, cheap looking cylinder key. It wasn't even attached to the keychain. Oh, is this a
学生
key?
寮の鍵です。
Okay, I thought it's the
匠兄
key.
がタイバーに行って出してもらったんだっ
The key
て。
for choices. But it's the key for the dorm.
どうしてそんな。
今朝は外に寝させて悪かったって伝えてほしいそうです。
律儀でよく気がつく人だな。
そうでしょ。あの人がいるから、こんなところでもなんとかしていけるわ。
母さん、やっぱり。
あ、お米お米。
What was awkward? With an awkward smile on her face, Kawi-san went back to the kitchen.
すみません、お恥ずかしいところを。
This is awkward.
よそ者には何が何だかわからないので問題ないよ。
I made a blatant lie. Everyone could tell that Kawi-san and Takumi-san would make a nice couple.
いえ、はるちゃんもです。はるちゃん、よその人には絡んじゃダメだよ。
何よ、兄ちゃんだって迷惑でしょ。
別に。
とにかくあなた宴が関係ないなら早く出ていけば。
はるちゃんやめろって。
なんでよ。
久石さんは被害者なんだ。そんな薄情なことを言うもんじゃない。
何よ、兄ちゃんのバカ。
ああ、もう何が何だか。
Maybe Meiko is the wolf. Like she had the red eyes and she had the hair of the wolf. They had to stop fighting about me. What an innocent little girl here. Also, Jeremy's info was confirmed to be true. Trying to escape seems dangerous, and recommending it was heartless. Basically, getting out of here was difficult. That made all the more grateful for the room. I'd been so busy trying to understand what was going on in this place that I didn't even consider how to deal with myself. I'd have to thank Takumi-san.
まあまあ二人とも落ち着いて。はるちゃん、知恵姉と遊ぼうのコーナー。
遊ぶって何を。
信頼モーデ。
今なんでまた。
めいこちゃんに正しいやつを見せようかなって。
いいけど、知恵姉ってそういうの結構こだわるよね。
えへへへ、まあね。
Something was about to begin. No longer the center of the attention, I began drinking the hot water Kawi-san placed before me. What's this? The teacup had a strange symbol enamel at the bottom. It looked like a family crest.
安永くん、この文様って何かな。
ああ、上藤吉の長者の家紋ですよ。そんな食器捨ててしまえばいいのに。
His harsh tone made it pretty likely that it was the crest of the Higuchi family, the ones who banished them here. Haruchan moved a chair and sat down in front of Chiemi.
私が男役でいい？
いいよ。
じゃあ行くよ。1、2、せーの。信内さんの日ががちふましらみがらすよぐも。
He started playing an action rhyme much like ring around the rosy or London bridges falling down. Full in sync, they clap, slap their knees, clap again, join hands, etc., all according to the rhythm. And there was no mistaking it. This was actually the song I'd heard yesterday morning.
夕霧立てば宴の支度いついつ無事なも慣れもて走る
They were doing it pretty quickly, so I couldn't see everything, but it was definitely complex. They even raised fingers and made fist bumps. Also, I was pretty sure I heard that part somewhere.
夕霧立てば宴の支度
Oh,
怪しよみ人けがらえり
suddenly the song changed in tone. The movement switched up too. Haruchan hit her face, while Chiemi stood up a bit and grabbed her by the shoulders.
怪しよみ人なきにせん
Now this tone is kind of scary now. Similar line, but the role switch.
すぐれやひとひにひとりきりだった
They returned to the same tone and movements as before, but then at a slightly awkward point, the song suddenly ended. Then they quickly stood up and...
イエーイ久しぶりすぎて焦った
Apparently they were done.
どうさめいこちゃんもともとはこういう遊びなんだよ
すごい早くてよくわかんなかった
よーしはるちゃんめいこちゃんに教えてあげるんだ
私が
教えて
まあいいけど
やすくんちょっと話したいことある
Jimmy's tone was serious.
何かな
Yasunaga-kun instantly understood that it was important, but he seems to be mindful of me.
もし宴のことだったら僕がいない方がいいかな。
すみません。
Jimmy gave me a meaningful look as I left. She'd probably tell me something the next time we met.
ちょっと出てきますね。
はーい。お構いできずにごめんなさい。
Kabi-san stuck her head out and said goodbye to me as I left the dining hall. I put together what I learned, the Satan's beliefs, circumstances, and the inhabitants' stances. However, Jeremy was really the only one I could directly get info from. I couldn't account by any biases she might have had. The other inhabitants, albeit to varying degrees, didn't trust me. I could probably have decent talks with Yasunaga-kun, but his situation seems to be similar to Chiemi's. I'd have liked to get info from elders. Maybe my best option was to somehow join the feast myself. From what Chiemi had told me, the feast was a really vile and dangerous tradition, and that didn't change even when you consider the tales and that there had already been lynching because of this. Normally something so brutal would have changed and become so harmless festival by now. How did such a tradition survive in the modern day despite the murder and the lynching being completely illegal? Was this place simply beyond the reach of the law or something? Or...
神様を見たことがあるからかな
Or because you'd actually get cursed if you didn't do what the tales told you to. How stupid. Then again, I couldn't really write it off. My stance on gods and monsters was basically that as long as they could be seen, I was willing to accept their existence. The belief that nothing was beyond the comprehension of modern science, I was now reminded that best, new technologies and methods could easily reveal things that were previously undetectable. This had happened many times throughout human history. The idea that there were strange animals, ghosts, or aliens that were simply beyond our current ability to perceive was entirely plausible. However, there were disappointing realities too. For example, the original story about something mysterious could have easily been a lie, trick, misunderstanding, or misinformation. Generally speaking, the mysteries of the world all turned out to be one of those. Science disproved things far more often than it confirmed them, which was pretty damn boring. Surely even Houdini, famous for exposing mediums and other frauds, wanted to believe in psychic phenomena. He'd searched the world in the hopes of meeting a real medium, but each he found proved to be fake in the end. What's with the wolf picture? Well, considering that I actually seen something that shouldn't have existed, you could say that I was in a way more exciting situation than him. Though my life was in danger, so I couldn't really waste time trying to speculate what the sting was. Back to the matter at hand. For now, the most important thing was understanding and surviving the feast. To pull that off, I needed more info. I still hadn't heard how today's talk had ended. Based on the mood of the place, no one seems to have died at least.
死んだよ。
Shocked, I turned around. Who was this? It was a girl I've never seen before.
死んだよ。死んだ。死んだとも。きっと君も死ぬ。藤吉村にようこそ。気の毒なお兄さん。
The girl turned and ran, her skirt swaying behind her.
待てモッチ。
と、なぜわかったうんこマン。
That like dressing, like wearing a dress will change your looks. At least
誰
you
が
put
うん
on
こマンだ
makeup.
いや確かに見た目は結構びっくりしたが喋り方と声はもうちょっと工夫した方がいいな。
いや、別に変装のつもりじゃないし。
え、普段着だとでも？
おう、僕は超貧乏だからずっと学生服を着てたらタエバーが文句タラタラ言ってきてね。だからハルちゃんにお下がりをもらったのさ。可愛かろう。
まあ確かに可愛いが一応性別は男なんだよね君は。
I did it already. I thought assumed he was a girl.
ちゃんとついているぞ。ツレションの時に確認すればいい。
I didn't want to see it at all.
自分の性別に違和感があったりするの？
なんだそれ。僕は男だ。
じゃあなんでそんなことを？
別になんでなんてない。
そういう
卑怯の振る舞いというやつ。頭がおかしいので普通の人とはうまくやっていけないのだ。でも好きなようにやらないのはそれはそれできっついから多少は変にするわけだ。
つまり自然体というわけ？
そう。寒くなければすっぱだかでも悪くないな。
So basically, this was a guy with a unique sense of, well, everything. Unless he found something that really clicked, he had a hard time living anywhere, even in the city.
そりゃ苦労もあったろうね。
いやー、休みずはだいたい住みやすいぜ。うんこマンも住むといい。
なんでそんな話になるかな。
都会は住みにくかろう。
いや断然便利だしな。
そうか。てっきり嫌なことがあって飛び出してきたのかと思った。
まあそれは否定しないけどさ。
うんこマンも頭おかしい人でしょ。
He is.
全力で否定するけど。
あれおかしいな。同類だと思ったのに。ねえじっちゃん。
Oh my gosh, hi! Whoa, there was a weird old guy in the bushes.
僕はうんこマンが変態だと思う。だよねうんこマンは。
うんこお願いだからその故障を広めないでくれ。不妻子でも春秋でも何でもいいから。
ハッサン。
はあさん。
Did I look like a Middle Easterner? I was mildly bothered by the accentuation too, but he was probably avoiding using nicknames that were similar to Haba-chan's name.
まあいいかそれで。
うんこマンはハッサンになった。
I was never Pokemon to begin with.
おじいさんとは親しいの？
頭おかしい友達だ。
Oh, he is crazy. Oh, look at that. Well, the old man seems to be enjoying it.
ハッサンも仲間になろう。霧が晴れたら上藤吉に鶏盗みに行こう。
そんなカッパ的な。
Hell, why did he like me that much? Oh, that might have been a good thing. He seems to be a bit more unique than the other two students.
ちなみに今日はなんで他の高校生たちと一緒じゃないの？
だってはるちゃん怒ってたし、楽しくないことになりそうな気配が全開だったもん。
彼女は何を怒ってたの？
はるちゃんはさ、やっすんのことが好きだからさ。
Is he Yasun? Oh?
ちえ姉が帰ってきてやっすんが嬉しそうなのが気に入らないのだよ。
Yes. What's
う
that?
んそしたらなぜ僕が怒られる？
やっすんがちえ姉のこと好きなのをはるちゃんは一応応援しちゃってるし、
Oh. Well, I sure did expect to hear something like that.
片思いしてる相手の恋を手助けしてしまってるってことか。
そうそう。だからハッサンがちえ姉と突如ベタベタしだしたんでわけわかんなくなってんだよ。
So basically accident to enter a love triangle.
ちなみにちえみちゃんはそういうの気づいてるのかな？
そりゃそうじゃない？でも相手にしてないし脈はないね。
Who's Yasun? Man, this kid was harsh.
つうわけでよかったな。ちえ姉はハッサンのものだ。
いやーどうかな。っていうか君はそれでいいのかい？
なんで聞くかな。
いや短期間の観察ではあるけど君は奔放なくせにはるちゃんに対してはどこか海外しい感じがして。
まあ多分そんなんじゃないな。幼なじみとして危なっかしいから心配してるだけさ。
意外だなモッチー。そういうやつをからかいまくるキャラかと思った。
ハッサンだったら死ぬほどおちょくるけどやっすんには借りがいっぱいあるしはるちゃんはかわいそうな子だからな。
What?
なんかいっぺんにいろいろ聞くのもあれだしそれはいずれ別の時に聞かせてくれ。
はすでに喋りすぎた。何の魔術だハッサンめ。
He was the one who'd gone blabbing on his own.
ところでさっき死んだって言ってたけど誰か死んだの？いや
安水人はまだ死んでないけど死んだも同然だろう。
なんでそう思ったの？
さあなんでとかは僕には分からん。匠兄がヘビだって言った時嫌な感じがしたんだ。今狼様が笑ったなーって。
Maybe he lied just to save himself.
待て今なんて言った？
狼様が笑ったなって。
その前だ。
匠兄がヘビだって言った時
匠さんがヘビなのか？
そう言ってた。
ちょっと休養ができた。またなモッチーおじいさん。
Eh?
狼が来るだ
He's playing his role while coming.
知ってたのか？
あ
Huh? Shit, I didn't have the time nor the connections.
ムロさん。
あなんだ
That was my line. Why is he farming at a time like this?
鍵ありがとうございます。
ああそれはいいけどあんま一人でうろつくなよ。ただでさえみんなピリピリしてんだから。
そのことですがムロさんは狼が一晩に何人殺すか知ってますか？
ちえみのやつそんなことまで喋ったのかよ。
僕が無理に聞き出したんです。というか話が伝わることはあなたも予想した上でちえみちゃんに任せたはずだ。それでも情報は断片的ですがちょっと心配があるんです。すみませんが教えてもらえませんか？
実のところな俺はバカらしいんだよ。こんなことで他の世話は邪魔されんのがよ。ちえみやあんたにはわかるかと思ったが結局あんたもマジになってんのか。
Well, he really didn't seem all that bothered by all this, but
もう2人死んでいる。
何が珍しいんだ。
は？
あのな人間なんざいくらでも死んでるし俺はいくらでも片付け
this is a reasonable rage about this whole thing. What's he talking about?
上の土砂崩れの現場見たか。ありゃ8年前に野里が手入れたら崩れてそのまんまになってる。気味悪がって片付けもしやがらねえ。作業員の死体は俺が掘り出して埋めた。
I had no idea that was such a big deal.
バカな町のやつらが山ん中で首つって獣に食われることもある。俺やおやっさんが苦労して片付ける羽目になる。皿長に死体が流れることも珍しくねえ。渓流釣りだかなんだか知らねえが上流は危ねえっつうのによ。
This is a valid crash out.
それでもな 誰も何もしてくれねえ。俺らとしちゃな、無縁仏で埋めてそれで終わりにしてきたこった。
Very valid.
山っつうのは獣が出ようがムクロが出ようが何でもありなんだよ、兄ちゃん。
でも今回は村の中で。
ああ、なんだろうな、月の輪が人を食うなんざ聞かねえし、もしかして本物の狼でも群れで来たかもな。
あれが野獣の仕業だと。
人間の仕業だっつうのもどうなんだ。要は夜に番を立てりゃいい話だろうが、なぜバカみてえに殺し合う必要がある。
Honestly, he's making so much sense right now. This person was hard to read. There was no denying he had a good head on his shoulders. He was reserved and skeptical about the unknown. On the other hand, there were some things he put even above rationality. It felt like something you could call Yasumizu's rules, or better yet, fellowship. He looked at the situation from the perspective of, I gotta protect Yasumizu. He did whatever he could within those constraints, but he is in denial about the existence of enemies originating from within Yasumizu. To him, this situation was just a common case of some outsider died, so what? Or maybe that was just he really wanted to think. That made his situation very bad. But I, being an outsider, could say that.
そうですよね。おっしゃる通り、そんな迷信に耳を貸す方がどうかしてます。
He looked displeased. What was he supposed to do?
ただちょっと気になるんです。伝説で今夜一晩で皆殺しになるとかなってるなら、心の持ちようが違う。
ああ、それはねえな。狼が殺すってのは一晩に一人だけのはずだ。
そうなんですか。伝説上それはなぜだってことになってるんでしょう。
ばあちゃんなんつってたかな。誰も山の掟には逆らえん。世もつ狼様であっても。
世もつ狼？
蘇った狼って意味だと。
Huh? Weird. I felt like I've heard that term before. Still, wasn't it weird that the laws applied to the wolves too? They were on the Yomiboti's side, as in those opposing the mountain. And I was pretty sure the law of the mountain said that only one person could be killed per day. Lynching one during the day was the limit, and killing more than one per night was against the rules. Both will make you a target of the corruption. It didn't make much sense to me, but at least I found out that the wolves too could only kill one person per night.
変なこと聞いてすみませんでした。おとなしく引っ込んでおきます。あ、男手がいるときは言ってください。勝手に手は出さないでおきますが、ここに居候してる分働きたいんです。
ああ、そうだな。
His last reply was half-hearted, but at least I got a bit of the rules I was missing. When I came back to the dining hall, I found the students Chiemi and Yoshitsugu-kun, Yasunaga's little brother, may God left.
うんこマンじゃない、ハッサン。うんこマン？
何それ。
The name still got a chance to spread. That aside, I had to find out what happened to today's feast. Calling what Mochi told me is kinda hard.
悪いけど、ちょっとちえみちゃん借りていい？
わお、ちえみさん大人気。
だからあなたは懲りないわね。
はるちゃん、いいから僕らは母さんを手伝おう。
兄ちゃんも何か言ってよ。
多分難しい話なんだよ。
僕は皿を叩き割る係。
はるちゃん、近持くんを押さえつける係。
何よこれ。
ごめんね、なんかバタバタして。
安永くんと何を話してた？
さっきの宴でね、ちょっとまずいよねって。
Yeah, I figured it was something like that.
匠さんがヘビって名乗ったと近持くんから聞いたんだけど。
うん、そうなんだよね。
他にヘビは？
他？いや、ヘビは一人だし。
The mountain gave 4 kinds of guardians. Snake could ask the mountain whether one of the participants was a wolf or not. The monkey was the only one, which there were 2. They had the power to know which other monkey was. The crow could determine whether the person who was lynched the previous day was a wolf or not. And the spider could ask God to protect one of the other participants from the wolf's attacks. Honestly, if this so-called God really had that power, I'd complain to him that he should protect everyone. And as far as I knew, anyone who didn't have a guardian was either a powerless human or a wolf. The humans could kill a person during the day, while the wolves could kill a person during the night. It was a battle for survival. The humans had to do everything to find and kill the wolves. If they couldn't find a single wolf during the feast, the whole event was completely meaningless. The wolves would simply crush the settlement.
殺人の是非を一旦脇に置くならば、今日狼容疑者を選べなかったことは単純に一日ロスだよね。
そうだね。そのこともさっきヤス君と話してた。
そして実質ヘビの正体が確定してしまった。
うん。ちょっと嫌な状況だね。
She understood it well. We couldn't expect the help of the police or getting a forensic investigation, not to mention we were up against supernatural monsters. Things where the snake's power was the only way to find out who was a wolf or not. In other words, losing the snake would mean losing the most powerful weapon against the wolves.
でも、多分今日は大丈夫なんだ。クモは匠兄ちゃんを守るようにってことになったから。
待って、クモもバレたのか？
うん。ヤス君がこの場で明かせば狼にも聞かれるから秘密にしておこうって。
Sharp.
それで肝臓じいちゃんが OK 出して方針が決まったんだ。
正しそうだね。
と思う。ヘビについてもそういう風にできればよかったのかな。
They really should have. It's the best to secretly gather info without revealing their guardians. Especially for the snake, he should have kept quiet and used his power to find out as much as reasonable possible before revealing himself. I knew it was difficult to figure out right away, but the fact that the snake, the most important role, was the first to be outed was really bad. From my perspective, Takumi-san had been so focused on protecting Yasumitsu himself that he'd made a terrible mistake. He appeared calm, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he'd realized this was actually pretty shaken.
結果どうなると思う？
She asked like she already knew the answer.
クモは言われるがままに匠さんを守る。当然、狼もそれを聞いているんだから、匠さんを殺そうとすれば、クモが阻むんだろう。どうやるのかは知らないが。
だね。結果、1日分の殺人権をロスする。
Jamie seems to process this as a logic game too.
僕が狼なら、匠さんは無視して別の誰かを殺す。
春明さんもそう思うか。ちなみに狙われるとしたら誰かな？
それはわからない。狼側の選択傾向がわからないからね。奴らが女子供の血をすすりたいとかなら、狙われるのは若い子たちだろうし。
怖い。
大丈夫。ちえみちゃんより若い子がいるから。
殺す。
大丈夫。美人狙いだったら一頭。
許す。でもそれはそれでやだな。殺される前に何されるかわかんないし。
I'm sure there were plenty of things they could conceive. Apparently, there was another layer to the worst possible scenario.
趣味以外の方向で言えば、そうだな。殺すことで村人側が大きく動揺するような人物、集落の有力者、あるいは今後のゲーム展開を左右するような優秀なプレイヤー。
肝臓じいちゃん、あるいはヤス君。
That seemed likely. Yasunaga-kun was the only one who'd done something helpful for the villagers this time. He seems to be the leader of the high schoolers and had a good head on his shoulders, but his ideas required Kanzo Makishimashi's approval, which made it pretty clear he was a standout. Honestly, I'd expected him to take more initiative than he had, but the fact that he considered the younger people's opinion showed real leadership skills. In any case, he wasn't someone the humans wanted to lose. Oh yeah.
匠さんが誰を調べるかは決めたの？
うん、清之助さん。
何そのチョイス？
何って本人の希望で。あと人間関係的に不利な人から優先的に調べて安全性を上げようっていう。
I wasn't so sure about that choice. Those who were confirmed as non-wolves would have much more freedom to act. At the very least, they wouldn't be suspected as wolves who were just trying to exploit the situation during the feast. That being the case, shouldn't they have opted to choose a potential leader to investigate? Well, I didn't really know if Kinosuke no Satoshi had the skills, but from what I could tell, he definitely lacked the influence to lead. If they wanted to secure a reliable leader, they should have went for someone like Kanzama Kishimeshi. But wait,
もし蛇の対象がその夜に狼にやられてしまうなら蛇が無駄になるか。死んだ人はカラスが調べればいいことだから。
違うよ。夜に殺されるのは狼が選ぶんだから間違いなく人間だよ。カラスはあくまで昼に宴で選ばれて殺された人の正体を知れるだけ。
あ、そうか。確かに。
whatever the case, perhaps investigating Kiyonasuke wasn't that much of a mistake. Did that mean that they were actually doing a decent job? Well, it'd be pretty bad if Kanzushi was the one to go. I don't know who's Kanzushi. Who's Kanzushi? Shienbi looked gloomy. She and I probably felt that it wasn't a complete blunder, but it still had a bad feeling about it. During the feast, everyone had to lock themselves somewhere all alone around every sunset. It was called sheltering. Well, I could understand it, considering the legends, but I still wondered why the students didn't go to school. It was a weekday. When I'd asked, they just told me, why would we leave when it's so dangerous? The idea that they couldn't leave when the mist was here was so popular, it affected their daily lives. Also, the people at Kabifujiyoshi had to know that Yasumisa was covered in mist, right? Considering the school, they were probably had few students to begin with. The non-presence of the tree from Yasumisa would normally be a serious problem. I knew it was a settlement for the ostracized, but did they really neglect this place that badly? Looking at it from the angle, it was safe to assume that the local villages, Kabifujiyoshi included, actually concealed the feast of the Yomi Purge.